Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Cold Lasagna Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Lasagna, bringing you all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports for sports fans out there like you and me. In this episode number 328 of this icy yet spicy podcast, it is championship weekend, or as I like to call it here, NFL Conference Championship Sunday weekend. And yeah, this is the 2025 edition of Conference Championship Sunday coming up. And yeah, it's the penultimate Sunday before the Super Bowl in 3 weeks' time. And the Final Four, it's four intriguing teams looking to punch their ticket to Santa Clara. Unfortunately, my team is not one of those. But nonetheless, yeah, this is the Final Four of the NFL 2025 NFL playoffs. And this Final Four, like I said, will determine who punches their ticket to Santa Clara for Super Bowl 60. And yeah, it's all going to go down this Sunday in Conference Championship Sunday with the AFC and NFC Championship games. So we're going to break it all down. We're going to talk about both teams, all four teams, road to the Super Bowl, the injury report, the keys to victory, and my personal picks, my opinion on who's going on to Santa Clara for the Super Bowl 60. So that being said, if you're new here, or if you're a vet but aren't subscribed, what the heck are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube and smash the notification bell. If you're listening to this on audio, whatever podcast network you're on, rate and review the show, and then follow me on social media at Very Cold Lasagna. So let's get started on talking about these games. These final two games, the penultimate Sunday before Super Bowl 60, and that they all get started with the AFC Championship game. The 2-seeded New England Patriots taking on the top-seeded Denver Broncos in a game we haven't seen in quite some time. Yeah. And why do I say that? Well, yes, they didn't face each other technically in the regular season, but this has some familiar historical significance in terms of both teams. Why do I say it like familiar historical significance? Well, at least in the playoff stage, the Patriots and the Broncos have faced each other twice in like under Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And they were very significant games in the last decade. They both faced each other in the AFC Championship game in 2013 and 2015, with Peyton Manning winning both of those games. 2015 being the most important one, in my opinion, because he went on to win. The Broncos went on to win that Super Bowl. And the last time they were here, the Super Bowl was in Santa Clara, and that was Peyton Manning's very final game as an NFL quarterback. So yeah, a lot of historical significance in these two, between these two teams and this AFC Championship game stage. So let's talk about both of these teams and how they got to the playoffs and how they got to this point in the game. Obviously, for the Patriots, we know how they were. They were the AFC East champions. They looked pretty dang good all season long. Schedule be damned. Bounce back year for Drake May under new head coach Mike Vrabel. Both sides of the ball looked great. Again, schedule be damned. I guess you just got to play who's on your schedule regardless. So they acquired the number 2 seed as the Patriots faced a bevy top 10 defenses. So it was a much tougher 2 games to start at the playoffs. Tougher teams to start their road to the AFC title game. First up was the number 7 seeded LA Chargers. And this game was a low scoring affair for 3 quarters because both defenses were rattling and forcing turnovers on both quarterbacks in this game. Justin Herbert and Drake May were turning the ball over because of these defenses, and both of them were making mistakes in this game. But all the Patriots needed was that one touchdown, that one significant play to change the game. And that came in the 4th quarter. And when the lone touchdown from this game happened in the wild card round, when Drake May and Hunter Henry connected for that lone touchdown, and their defense continued to harass Justin Herbert including a game-sealing sack fumble to win that wild card game. So they moved on to the next round in that divisional game against the 5-seed Houston Texans in slightly snowy conditions. There wasn't like a lot of snow heavily falling down, but nonetheless. Next up was the 5-seed Houston Texans. Yeah, another top 10, top 5 defense in Houston. Drake May in the offense, despite looking better, in my opinion, at times in that game with 2 touchdowns from May, they still struggled against a top heavy Texans defense, especially in the trenches where that Houston defense forced 4 fumbles on Drake May, who lost 2. Fortunately, their own defense stepped up to the plate to help out the quarterback in that offense, because CJ Stroud picked the best day for the Patriots defense to have CJ Stroud have his absolutely worst day to play. As the Pats intercepted Stroud 4 times, the Pats forced 5 turnovers overall, one of them being a pick 6 on CJ Stroud, and they pretty much pressured him up the ass all day like hell to stagnate the Texans offense for a 28-16 win, and this earned them their first trip to the AFC title game since 2018. And yeah, here they are at this stage. So say what you want about the New England Patriots. Regardless of their schedule, regardless of how they got their 14-3 record, yeah, there will be naysayers about that. But Drake May played pretty impressive. He has the right offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels, the right head coach. Well, the team overall has the right head coach in Mike Vrabel, and they completed a really great turnaround this current season. And well, here they are, 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, you look at the Denver Broncos. By virtue of a tiebreaker with the Patriots, they have the same record, but Denver has that one specific tiebreaker that I can't think of. But nonetheless, the Broncos got themselves the number 1 seed and the first round bye in the AFC playoffs. And when they had their first playoff game in last week's divisional playoff, they faced Josh Allen in the 6th-seeded Buffalo Bills, where they were beaten up, but they didn't let up easily in that game. They didn't lie down for Denver. Despite the Denver defense forcing 2 first-half turnovers on Josh Allen and holding a 20-10 lead in the first half, the Denver defense, their own defense, saw that 20-10 lead erased by mid-third quarter, as the game eventually went on to go to the extra distance in overtime. In that extra period, just as Josh Allen threw a deep ball to put his team into field goal range as it was next score wins, Brandon Cooks seemed to have caught the ball for a first down, but on ground contact, and that seemed like, the Bills were going to win this game. But Jalen McMillan stole it for a game-changing interception. Now, there's still talk currently in the day since that game happened, and whether it was a catch, but Jalen McMillan stole it on a significant play, regardless. So that allowed Bo Nix in the offense a second chance on life to win this game by picking on a vulnerable Bills defense via taking advantage of ref ball. Using the rule, taking advantage of that referee ref ball pass interference calls to get into field goal range and get Will Lutz into range to successfully kick a game winner in overtime, and for Denver to get into their own first AFC title game since that Super Bowl winning season a decade ago. So here they are in that first AFC title game since 2015, as they look to go back to the place where they last won a Super Bowl down here in the Bay Area. But man, it's going to be a very tough climb for them now, because in that same game, in that same win, their first playoff win since that same season, mind you, you talk about bad timing, man. You talk about the worst luck for them, because this win came at the absolute worst cost of starting quarterback Bo Nix. They lost him to a broken bone in his ankle, and of all things that it comes to, the last kneel down to set up the field goal. it happened after he had the kneel down and then he got hit. It was like a freak injury. Like, man, in the way that the news broke, it was like Sean Payton had to come back. He learned about the injury and then he had to tell everybody about it. Talk about a major thing that he had to tell everybody just as they won the game. Ouch, man. Just ouch. So looking at the injury report for both of these teams going in, both of them are, I'd say they're going in relatively healthy. The only notables from for this game, on the Patriots side, Carlton Davis, he suffered a concussion in last week's divisional game. So he's in a concussion protocol, but he seems to be on track practicing this week. And he has a pretty good chance to play in this one as long as he clears the protocol. Harold Landry and Marte Mapu, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, the linebackers, they haven't practiced yet, but I imagine that's a safety thing for Mike Vrabel, so I do expect them to play in that rotation. Meanwhile, for the Broncos, two good news is for them, aside from the bad news about Bo Nix. Running back J.K. Dobbins was designated to return from injury reserve on Monday from a foot injury. And looking at a clip from social media and how he practiced this past week, he looks pretty good despite a limited fashion. But he has a good chance to return to help out the backup. The name's not coming up on top of my head, but sorry about that. Yeah, to help out the running game regardless. And then also being designated to return from IR was center Luke Wanberger, who was out with a shoulder injury. And yeah, he looks to return as well. So looking at the keys to victory for both of these teams as they try to represent the AFC side of the Super Bowl, the Patriots. Drake May, he's got to attack this Broncos secondary. Now, the pass rush is going to be the offensive line is going to face a big challenge against this Denver pass rush. And they've already struggled enough with the Chargers and the Texans, especially with left tackle. The left tackle, the first overall pick, and they're probably surely gonna struggle against Denver's. So it's on Drake May to be quicker, use his mobility to get out of the pocket, while also using his legs. But in the passing game, he's got to find his receivers much quicker. Got to be on point to attack a pretty good Denver secondary that struggled in last week's game against Josh Allen in that patchwork offense, especially in the second half and in overtime last week. So yeah, Drake May's got to be on point, and Drake May also has to take better care of the football as well, because having 4 turnovers is not exactly ideal. Meanwhile, the front four, they have to reach Jarrett Stidham, who's going to be replacing Bo Nix in this game. So this is a really good pass rush going into this game against a good offensive line, but with a backup quarterback making just his 5th start in a very high stakes game. They're going to have to outrush and bully Stidham in his O-line in order to get to Denver's offense off the field. Meanwhile, for the Broncos, it's pretty like the message is obviously pretty clear. You got to keep it simple, stupid, for Jarrett Stidham. This is only his 5th start, if I believe. He's only started 4 games prior to this, and his lone best start came all the way back 3 years ago in 2022 as a Raider against my San Francisco 49ers. It was week 17 where all of a sudden he played very good and pushed the envelope against the 49ers as they were trying to go for the number 1 seed, and somehow, some way, like, they pushed them to all the way to the end of the 4th quarter, and yeah, the Niners had to get to a game-winning field goal to win that game against Stidham. So this is a high-stakes game for Sean Payton and the whole team. Payton cannot make it overly complicated and run the offense like as if Bo Nix was playing with them. So just keep things simple for Jarrett Stidham, even in this high-stakes game. And even if Stidham has been there for, 2 years with Sean Payton, but he's been sitting there with the clipboard. Meanwhile, the defense has to lock down Drake May's supporting cast. Like, we know what we've seen from Denver's front seven. They're really good. But as I said on the Patriots POV, the secondary really struggled with Josh Allen's patchwork offense. But they came through in clutch time. Jalen McMillan's interception and stealing the ball from Brandon Cooks. But they're playing against a healthier Patriots team with better weapons facing them. So the defense has to lock down Drake May's supporting cast, whether it's in the running game or in the receiving game. So with all that being said, this is going to be a game where both teams are going in somewhat relatively healthy, but the Patriots, I think the biggest thing for them, they're going to have the quarterback advantage, regardless of how both teams stack up against each other. So it's going to be tough, but I do think the Patriots are going to edge out the Broncos, and they're going to pull away in the fourth quarter, and they're going to be representing the AFC in a couple weeks' time. So now looking at the NFC side of things, let's look at the 5-seeded LA Rams taking on the top-seeded Seattle Seahawks. So this is a 3-match of their division series from the regular season, with both teams splitting the season series. The Rams won the first matchup in LA in Week 11 in what was a low-scoring defensive game that ended with Jason Myers from Seattle missing the potential game-winning field goal. That won the game for LA. Meanwhile, a couple weeks later, in Week 16, the Seahawks won that rematch on their home turf, overcoming a major fourth quarter deficit. And that tied the game going to overtime, where Sam Darnold, he scored, I believe it was him throwing a touchdown to Jackson Smith in the Jigba. And they decided to go for a gutsy call. And they went for a 2-point conversion, and that 2-point conversion was very successful, with Sam Darnold and Eric Saubert converting that in what was one of the best games of the regular season. And that paved the way for them clinching the NFC's top seed. So looking at the Rams side of things and their road to the NFC title game, having lost control of their path to the NFC West and the NFC's top seed, following that loss to Seattle, and another loss following that to the Falcons the next week, they had to settle for the 5th seed. So, they pretty much lost control of their own destiny to both of those things, when pretty much they had the track to both of those for most of the season, but that was their own doing. So their road to this game started in Carolina against the NFC South champion Panthers. They initially led that game 14-0 out of the gate, but they allowed Bryce Young and the Panthers to claw back thanks to their own their own offense, and pretty much their own defense too, stalling out for most of the second half. But in clutch time, Matthew Stafford led a game-winning drive, capped off with the go-ahead touchdown to Kobe Parkinson, and they eventually won that game 34-31. But then they had to go to much colder conditions with that very cold lasagna. Self-promotion. The divisional playoff game, and they had to go to snowy, slippery field conditions in bare weather against the Chicago Bears in what was another low-scoring defensive affair for LA. That was until the fourth quarter, where Kyren Williams scored what seemed to be like the go-ahead score for them, but that came early in the fourth quarter, and in what seemed like a game-winning goal line stand for them very late on the other side. But Caleb Williams threw a Hail Mary touchdown in what was like one of the wildest throws that you'll ever see, and that sent the game into overtime. Yes, the one overtime game to begin the divisional playoffs, and another one to end the divisional playoff weekend. So in that extra period, just as the Bears were within striking distance to kick a game-winning field goal after the Rams missed on their opportunity to score, just as the Bears were within distance to kick a game winner, safety Cam Curl came clutch with a game-changing pick on Caleb before Matthew Stafford and Kyren Williams and the whole offense, they marched down to get Harrison Mevis to extra thick the kick the Rams into the NFC title game and set up this 3 match with the top seeded Seattle Seahawks. So the Rams team, they've had their issues, especially in the secondary and a stagnating offense throughout these playoffs, but here they are. Meanwhile, for the Seattle Seahawks, they're a very balanced team, for as much as I'm, 50-50 to admit it. But yeah, looking at this team in fairness, they're a very balanced team, good running game. Very, very good running game, and a very, very young, very top-heavy defense. And with their split over the LA Rams and wins over the Panthers and the 49ers 2 weeks later, the Seahawks earned the NFC West and the NFC's top seed to get themselves a first-round bye and home field advantage. So last week in their first playoff game in the NFC Divisional, they faced the 6th-seeded San Francisco 49ers. It was another 3-match of a division series. And, well, they absolutely dominated this already hospital-ass team of my 49ers and sent them to the triple infirmity, the triple emergency room. Sent them to the emergency room for good, at least for this season. So that started off with a kickoff return touchdown from Rashid Shaheed. Yeah, the Hawks then fed off a bit of a big hat trick night from Kenneth Walker III and a defensive smashing of Brock Purdy and the remnants of his offense to send away this hospital-ass team 41-6. And they themselves are back in the NFC title game for the first time since 2013. Yeah, that Super Bowl winning season. Oh, no, 2014, sorry. When they went back-to-back NFC title games. And we all know what happened in when they won that game, but then what happened in that Super Bowl. But I digress. So this is going to be an interesting 3-match between two balanced teams, especially in Seattle. But just as I said in the last game between the Seahawks and my 49ers, yeah, three matches with 2 division rivals are always hard to win. And especially with these 2 kind of teams, it's going to be a tough, grindy battle. So looking at the injury report for both these teams, the Rams are relatively healthy going in, although something to monitor, although I think it's just them playing it safe for Sean McVay, is a knee injury from Byron Young and a shoulder injury from Emmanuel Forbes. Meanwhile, for the Seattle Seahawks, that win, that dominating one over the 49ers, it did come with a major cost, and that's Zach Charbonnet. He's gone for the rest of the playoffs and probably part of next season too, with a torn ACL. That was major. That's not good for the Seahawks running game because now they have to solely rely on Kenneth Walker III. I mean, he was very good against that hospital-ass Niners team, but now they're going against a better team in the Rams. So for the Seahawks running game, it's basically all all Kenneth K9 from here on out. The offensive line is something to watch for, though, because all 3 left tackles are pretty much hurt going into this one. Like starting tackle Charles Cross, he returned in last week's game, but his foot injury crept up again. Backup Josh Jones, he also sat out with the knee and ankle issues. And then you had rookie undrafted free agent Amari Knight. He's also dealing with the knee injury. Maybe it's Mike McDonald, playing it safe, and then maybe all 3 are expected to be in the rotation for this Sunday's game. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully, maybe they'll be ready to go. And this is just injury management from McDonald. Meanwhile, for Sam Darnold, he also continues to deal with the oblique issue, but he should be good to go, barring any setbacks. So look at the keys to victory for both of these teams. For the LA Rams, this secondary has to be a lot better. They got to be more tight-lipped on Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp, as well as Kenneth Walker III. Now, they did a good job of this in both games, even if this core has been a major weakness throughout the season. And when it comes to both of those regular season games, they did good until the fourth quarter in overtime in the second game in Seattle. So, yeah, they cannot do that this time around. They have to go man to man, shut down both of all three of those guys. They got to zone in on Walker the third, who will again have to go it alone with Zach Charbonnet gone now. So in order to force Sam Darnold to throw it more, and they really have to test Darnold in this game. Offensively, if Matthew Stafford and this offense have the lead, they absolutely cannot choke it. I mean, it's pretty simply said because we know what happened in Week 16. Sean McVay's offense, they took its foot off the gas pedal, and Seattle's defense made them pay for it. Like this balanced attack that includes Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Terrence Ferguson, Colby Parkinson. This very solid offensive line. Like this balanced attack knows how well they can do as long as they play aggressive for all four quarters on nearly every possession. But that can't happen if they can't play like they did in Week 16 or in the first round matchup against Carolina. So they got to show up for all four quarters. And if they have the lead, keep attacking. Meanwhile, for the Seahawks, the defensive line needs to once again harass Matthew Stafford, especially in big time moments like they did in Week 16 when they were down, 15 or 18 points. So even if it's a tight knit game in clutch time, you gotta keep getting to Stafford. Don't let him attack the secondary, get into scoring range. You gotta keep him at bay. Get that offense off the field. And then, most importantly for the Seahawks, this game is going to come down to Sam Darnold. He's faced this Rams team twice this regular season and knows what they're going to throw at them at this point. He's in a familiar spot last year against this Rams team as a Viking. Like he knows he's screwed up last year in the first round game against the Rams, which was technically in Arizona because of an unfortunate situation there in LA. But this time, unlike the Vikings, he has a better supporting cast than the Vikings, and it's on a much bigger stage in the NFC Championship game. If this very balanced Seahawks team wants to advance to the Super Bowl, Sam Darnold will need to show how well he's improved this year. He's going to be asked upon by Mike McDonald a lot, especially if the Rams shut down the Rams severely limit Kenneth Walker III, who's again it's going to be solely be the running game with Zach Charbonnet gone. So it's going to be certain that Sam Darnold is going to be tasked to throw the ball more. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if somehow, some way, Kenneth Walker is going to pull a Raheem Mostert from 2019, then there's still going to be questions raised on how Sam Darnold can do. The Hawks can't get the bad and silent version of Darnold, the ones that's seeing ghosts, or the one that he's seen in the last month of the regular season, especially in this point in time. They cannot get the bad version of Darnold. Like they need the one that has shown up in clutch time, like they did in Week 16. They need that version. So, with all that being said, this is gonna be a very tough grit and grind battle between two division rivals that are on, especially for the Seahawks that are on the up and up in the division. Pretty young squad, pretty balanced squad. The Rams still always in the division, even with their quarterback getting up there in age, but still playing pretty well. With that being said, I'm going with the Rams in this one. They have the experience factor. They have a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Stafford. They have a lot of balanced skill positions. Again, the only major weakness though is that secondary, which Seattle can attack if Sam Darnold plays well. But I think in the end, I think Stafford will come in clutch as long as he can overcome that very tough Seahawks defense. So yes, I do position the Patriots and the Rams to meet up again in the Super Bowl when it's all said and done. So yeah, those are my picks. That is my preview for Conference Championship Sunday for the AFC and NFC Championship games. What about you guys? Let me. What do you guys think is going to happen this Sunday for the conference finals for the NFL? Let's hear it in the comments on YouTube, or send me a DM on my socials at Very Cold Lasagna if you happen to be listening to this in the audio version. But that is pretty much it for the Very Cold Lasagna podcast. I have been your host, Dylan Lasagna. This has been episode number 328 of this icy yet spicy podcast. And I have been Bryn. This once again bringing you all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports. Hopefully, I brought you some very coherent sentences because this end certainly has it. But anyway, if your team happens to be playing the conference championship Sunday, well, wishing you luck on your team. But yeah, we'll be back to review conference championship Sunday and which team will move on to the Gridiron's biggest stage, and that is Super Bowl 60. But until that time comes, keep that lasagna very cold. And I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.